Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name is Walter, and one thing life has taught me is that sometimes your instincts speak up before your brain can catch up. There's no proof, no evidence, just a quiet pull in your gut. If you're wise, you learn to listen, because most of the time that feeling leads you straight to a truth you weren't ready to see. The night my fiancée came home from her girls' night, I was waiting. She walked in, sensed a heaviness in the air, and leaned in to kiss me. I didn't move. Instead, I unlocked my phone, hit play, and turned the screen toward her. I watched her freeze, her face draining of all color. That reaction told me everything I needed to know. She didn't deny it. She didn't even know what I had already set in motion. A few months earlier, I would have told you I was the happiest man alive. I own a small but growing social media agency. Pays well, gives me control over my time. I mostly work from home, except for occasional brand or client meetings once or twice a week. I spend more time on Zoom calls than I care to admit, but it works for me. Charlotte and I had been together for 3 years. We were the kind of couple people admired. How we spoke, how we moved, how we supported each other. She's quick-witted, sharp. I fell hard and fast. When I decided to propose, I truly believed she was my forever. I spent weeks planning the proposal down to every last detail. I booked a beachside resort because Charlotte once told me sunsets by the water made her feel at peace. I had a custom ring made, invited close friends and family under the guise of a weekend trip. When the sun touched the horizon and I dropped to one knee, she cried, said yes, and wrapped her arms around me. It felt like we were stepping into the next chapter of our life together. Of course, we weren't perfect. Every couple has disagreements, but none of ours ever felt like deal breakers. We always found a way to talk through them like adults. I truly believe this was the most solid and mature relationship I'd ever had. Right after we got engaged, we moved in together. We had already been splitting time between our apartments, but now we'd be under the same roof full time. From the outside, everything looked perfect, and for a while I believed it was. But soon, I started noticing small things that didn't sit right with me. It began with her group chats and FaceTime calls. She'd usually step into another room, but sometimes I'd overhear enough to catch the tone. These weren't just friends catching up. They were bragging about sneaking around behind their partners' backs, lying to get out responsibilities, and blackout nights where no one remembered how they got home. One even laughed about flirting with a married man like it was a trophy. It didn't feel like harmless fun. It felt reckless, deceitful, and gross. I'm not a prude. I get blowing off steam and having your own life. But this wasn't an isolated thing. It was a pattern. And worse, they seemed proud of it. I kept quiet at first, trying to figure out how to bring it up without sounding controlling. Eventually, I asked her calmly about those friends. I told her I wasn't worried because I didn't trust her. I was worried because I didn't trust them. I thought, as her fiancé, I had the right to say that. Her response caught me off guard. She snapped that I was overstepping, that just because we lived together and were planning a wedding didn't mean I got to dictate who she spoke to. She accused me of judging people I didn't know and told me to stay out of her private conversations. There was no conversation, no curiosity about why I felt that way. I didn't push back. Outwardly, I let it go, but inside, something shifted. I started to wonder how much of who she was came from people around her, and how much of that was still shaping her. As the wedding date drew closer, that question haunted me. On the surface, everything was fine. The date was set, venue booked, deposits paid, our families knee-deep in preparations. But underneath, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Charlotte started coming home later and later, always with a reason. Late meetings, bad traffic, venting with friends. For a while, I believed her. I wanted to believe her. But one night, she came home well past 10. I was on the couch, lights low, dinner cold. She looked surprised to see me awake. She leaned in to kiss me, and that's when I caught the smell of alcohol. I asked if she'd been drinking. She smiled casually, said it was just a quick round for a co-worker's birthday. I nodded, let her talk, but my stomach was uneasy. At first, I thought I was just being paranoid, but the feeling kept growing louder. A few nights later, I found her getting ready for another night out. She looked stunning. Black dress, curled hair, perfume in the air. I asked lightly who she was going with. She snapped back, asking if she now needed permission. Her tone stung. I tried to explain that I just had a bad feeling, but she rolled her eyes. Walter, it's just a night out. I'm not doing anything wrong. I didn't argue. I knew when she'd put up a wall. I stepped back, let her go. She walked downstairs, didn't kiss me goodbye, didn't even meet my eyes. Just waved and said, "I'll be back before you blink." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something in me already knew how nights like this could end. Hours later, unable to sleep, I opened Find My. That was at a lounge 40 minutes away. Upscale. Somewhere we'd never been together. I grabbed my keys and drove. When I arrived, the place was packed, neon lights, music shaking the walls. I scanned the room until I found her. Charlotte sat at a table with 5 other women. Glasses everywhere, laughing, snapping selfies, taking shots. She looked beautiful, glowing under the dim lights. Then the DJ changed the song, and the whole group screamed like it was their anthem. They ran to the dance floor. That's when I saw him, a tall guy dancing his way toward her. I expected her to step back. She didn't. She smiled, turned her back to him, and let him grind against her like they were teenagers. Her friends cheered, egging her on. She moved her hips, let him hold her waist. Her engagement ring was gone. I sat there, numb, recording. The more I filmed, the worse it got. Eventually, the guy waved over a VIP bouncer, and Charlotte and her friends followed him inside the ropes. I didn't follow. I'd seen enough. I drove home in silence, collapsed on the couch, and waited. Just before midnight, she came in. She froze when she saw me sitting there. She kissed me, but I didn't kiss her back. "I have something to show you," I said, tapping my phone. I hit play. She stood still, color draining from her face as the video rolled. When it ended, I turned off the screen and said quietly, "Go to bed. In the morning, pack your things." She cried, begged me to listen, swore nothing happened. "We were just dancing," she said. "It wasn't what it looked like." I walked past her like she was a stranger. "I'm not interested, Charlotte. We're done." The next morning, she tried again. She followed me into the kitchen, puffy-eyed, pleading, "We can fix this." It was a stupid night. I wasn't thinking. But she was thinking, just not about me. That evening, I told her the wedding was off. I was done giving my energy to someone who couldn't respect what we had for one night. Eventually, she called a friend to help her pack. I watched as they carried her boxes out. She moved slowly, almost like she was waiting for me to stop her. I didn't. I closed the door behind them and locked it. As I stood in the silence of the house, I kept asking myself, had she always been like this? Was this the first time she slipped up, or just the first time she got caught? I'll never know. I turned off my phone and shoved it in a drawer. I didn't want to hear excuses. Didn't want to be persuaded into forgiving what my gut already knew was unforgivable. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal. It was realizing the future I had been building was an illusion. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Looking back, I think my instincts had been whispering for a long time. I just didn't want to listen. In the end, it was those whispers that led me to the truth. And even though that truth shattered everything I thought we had, it set me free.